Good afternoon. As you enjoy your sumptuous main meal and dessert also, it's only proper that we give you some experiences from the legends who made who we are today. I'm excited to be your moderator for this exciting panel that takes us back to our roots, passing down generational knowledge on the farm and across industry, from farm to fork, as we now say. It's not just about the farm. My name is Lindiwe Sibanda. I'm here on the behalf of the CGIAR, which is the largest public funded research entity charged with delivering transformation of food systems, land systems, water systems in the face of climate change. My grandmother, who passed on 45 years ago, is smiling as she sees me lead this panel. I say this because I was raised on a 1-acre farm in Lower Gwero village in Zimbabwe. Every night, we would all sleep on cowhide skin, which formed the mattress, not because we were poor, but because we slaughtered a cow every year to celebrate end of year with the whole family. My grandmother had 6 children, but 65 grandchildren. Every school holiday, we went to the farm to help with the farm work. That is why agriculture is in my blood. And as per tradition, part of my navel, soon after birth when it's cut, was taken to my grandmother and she buried it at the doorstep of her kitchen. From farm to fork, I've maintained that connection. Every morning, she woke us up in prayer, and her one prayer was, may all my grandchildren work hard to be farmers that not only feed their families, but feed the entire village. It is therefore no surprise that I chose a career in agriculture, but I then went on to specialize in goat production, because as we grew up, there was a goat slaughtered every month. We only got 40 grams of meat every day. And I always winched that when I grow up, I will have many goats and have meat for every meal. I then went on to buy my own farm and named it after my grandmother. Mayembe farm in Zimbabwe is currently operational, and that's my happy space. That's where I spend most of my time. It is that prayer that woke us up every day as grandchildren that inspires me every day to do what I do. It's a calling, and I will not stop because it keeps my grandmother smiling. Let's look at what passing down generational knowledge on the farm and across industry means. Definitely, generational farming is not just about keeping the legacy of your land strong and prosperous for your family. It extends beyond family ties to a positive generational impact on your community, on the food and the agricultural industries and our global societies. The knowledge transfer from generation to generation ensures the fertility of the soil on the farm, the tenacity in navigating extreme wet and dry seasons in aquaculture production, and adaptability in processing, refining, and milling techniques to sustain food and feed security. We are here to hear about US Soy's approach in connecting strategic partners and local business leaders across the world to increase demand, provide educational opportunities, and drive economic growth as a win-win solution. Let's hear from our eminent panelists who are going to take us down memory lane. They are going to introduce themselves, but most important, they are going to talk about the role they have with the soy organization they represent and how, from their intergenerational lines, they've become who they are today. Over to you, Tim.
I'm Tim Bardole. I farm about 50 miles northwest of here, so I'm not very very far from home, which is different than a lot of people here. To start with, I want to say how honored I am to have this opportunity. My son Skylar interned at the World Food Prize when he was in college, and my activity in the soy organizations, and specifically USB, I grew up with my dad being very active in all the state and national soybean organizations. And it gave me a real knowledge of the importance of what these organizations do. Specifically as a director on the United Soybean Board and a WISH committee member, which you'll hear more about WISH from other panelists, but USB, or the United Soybean Board, uses the check-off money that comes from soybean farmers around the country to be invested to help in their operation and production and worldwide for export. So that's kind of the base of my background.
Thank you, Tim. It's good that you've been deep in the woods and the whole family tradition continues. Over to you, Alejandro. What brings you here and what's your story? Who inspires you to do what you do every day?
I'm Alejandro Jaramillo. I represent Grupo. Grupo is a holding company in the Colombian agribusiness sector. We are focused and passionate about giving nutrition to all while developing the Colombian countryside. That's the purpose of our organization. And on the company, we have a B2C division where we focus direct to consumer with pork, meat, chicken meat, and pet food. We have also an animal nutrition division and genetics. I'm the head of the animal nutrition division, and we produce more than 2 million metric tons of compound feed that we sell to small, medium, and large producers in the country. We have a share of market of roughly 23 to 25% of the market share in the country, and I'm very grateful to be here to share how we've helped on passing down that traditional knowledge.
Excellent story, thank you. Over to you, Sejiro.
All right.
What brings you here and what's your connection to soy?
All right. My name is Sejiro. I'm the director of Sedge Farms Consult in Nigeria, Lagos. And I'm doing in the aquaculture space with my wife. And mind you, my wife she's a woman. And I have 2 kids, 2 young boys that we are doing this together. And I have to increase the passion for what I'm doing in the aquaculture space because a few years ago, my oldest son is 10. He's going to be 10 next week. And they told me that, Daddy, we'll sell your farm and buy you a bigger one in Canada. I said, no, this is a serious thing. So I have to put in so much dedication into what I'm doing. And I found out that there's a knowledge gap in the agri sector in Nigeria. Most of the graduates, when they graduate from school, over 90% of them, they don't want to study, they don't want to practice. Yep. So I took that upon myself. I said, the change is going to start with me. So I started training a lot of young people. I started training young people even as an undergraduate. So
I'll come back to that. So Sejiro, you're saying there's a challenge, there's a knowledge gap.
Exactly.
Let's come to the US.
All right.
Tim, your grandfather's been doing soy, your father did soy, you are doing soy, your son is into it. Can you walk us through the technology changes that you have gone through to keep you as a leader in the market and in the industry?
Yeah, and it really all starts back in 1901 when my great-great-grandfather bought the ground where I live today. Really from the beginning, and this is not unique to our family, but the family farms, you want to leave it better than you found it. And as you go from generation to generation, you're always wanting to make improvements. Of course, in 1901, it was all the farming was done with horses. And my grandfather started farming during the Great Depression, which was a rough time. And he was the first one to have a tractor. And then as time goes on, there's a lot of new technologies. But it was always done with the stewardship in mind, taking care of the soil, taking care of the livestock, taking care of your families and your community. Well, as time goes on, today it's, and I think it was said earlier, it's a world community. It's not just your township or your state. You know, we're all connected more than ever, and will probably continue to be. With agriculture and the way we farm, we started no-tilling in 1993. Before there was really all the technology to make it easy. And as technology has come along through genetics, through equipment, it makes no-till very advantageous to us and good for the soil. With USB has funded Farmers for Soil Health to help educate the farmers that aren't doing the no-till or cover crops a little more on the value of that ecosystem that's below ground. That is where we make our living, is what is below ground, the microbes and everything to make and produce a crop. So it's all about making it better. And my son, who's farming with us, when I'm done, I want it to be better than when I started. And hopefully his son, my grandson, will be farming. And it's very important to farm families to be a part of the ground.
I love that prayer. You've said it loud. You pray that your sons, children, and great-grandchildren remain on the land, not only feeding people, but feeding the soil. Thank you very much, Tim. You did not mention hand hoe. You started from a tractor. Did you ever use a hand hoe?
Well, growing up, walking beans did all the time, but I've tried to get that out of my mind. It was pretty horrible, so.
Well, good news is that we in Africa are on a journey to banish the hand hoe into a museum.
There you go.
But we are not moving fast enough. Help us move fast enough. Let me move to you, Alejandro. Your mission statement under Grupo BIOS, and this is a 70-year history that we are riding on, is nourish everyone by developing the Colombian countryside. How does technology come into all that? What has been the journey that you have walked, and what has kept you going and modernized?
To accomplish that mission, we need to help our clients thrive in their business. And for that, we've focused all our efforts to help them improve on the genetics, nutrition, safety, biosecurity, management, and sustainability of their production. With that, we built businesses around that have created communities, rural communities, and having the chance that the people that stay in the countryside, they can develop, they can have a job, and they can have opportunities. While developing those different productions, we start to learn and improve. Learn and improve, having various of those producers. We learn from them, and we try to improve all of those traditional technologies that they've been using with implementing modern techniques, modern technology.
What are those techniques, those modern techniques?
Those modern techniques on the production, it's how you can improve yield on the feed production.
Yeah.
You can produce more protein with less inputs. That it's one of our focus also that we've learned. It's if we continue building with those communities, we can produce more with less inputs in a way that it's friendlier with the environment and also with the animals. And that we found that with the alliance with and this collaboration that we've had with the United States Soy Export Council, USEC, we've been also expanding that network to bring new technologies and new education to our people in our company. So with our team, we can spread that to the Colombian countryside.
Yeah, but just take us to your connection with USEC's Soya Excellence Center. What do you get from them? What do you give? Why does it become a center of excellence?
We buy the soybeans and the soybean meal from the States, from all of the soy family farmers. It's a great soybean meal, great quality that we use in our feed. Okay. And with that products, we have that better yield of production. And with the Soy Excellence Center, it's been a crucial thing for us because we had the chance to educate more than 800 persons in our company. 800. That's not a small number of persons. That in all of the company, we have roughly 8,000 employees in the company. Wow. That's 10% of the workforce on different levels of the organization. I was talking to Jim earlier that one of the persons that had the chance to go on one of those programs, he went to Panama, another one to Honduras, to have feed production capacity. And it was the first time this person had the chance to jump in a plane, go to another place, and be with a lot of people creating connections. And that is how we think traditional knowledge and this transitional knowledge can be transferred while creating networks where we can start with those rural communities, having companies that can connect those dots and then start to expand and broaden our network, having the chance to educate ourselves, to continue giving opportunities to the people in the rural side of Colombia.
Thank you very much. So, my generation, the knowledge came from our grandparents. We went to school, we went to college, and the knowledge came from our peers. Now you form cross-border international networks, and that is feeding you, and you are feeding them.
That's right.
So it's a platform for exchange of knowledge. Excellent idea. Let me come to you, my brother, Sejiro. So you are associated with the ASA-WISH, United Soybean Board. Mm-hmm. What do they do for you? What do you do with them? It's a partnership that is feeding into your aquaculture business. Unpack it for us.
All right, like I said earlier on, that there was a knowledge gap, and they came in as partners to strengthen the vision of bridging that gap, which deliberately we set a platform that we needed to bring in other people to help us. World over, there are over 500 species of aquatic life that are being cultured. But in Nigeria and Africa, we are known for basically catfish and tilapia too. And I felt there is so much we need to do. The government can't do it alone. We need to support the government as private individuals. So we want to break new ground. So we are doing currently species domestications of our indigenous species of fish so that we can have more species to deal with in the aquaculture space. Nigeria is so blessed with resources beyond any other place in the world. In fact, what Lagos has in terms of aquatic resources, some nations of the world don't have it. And I feel we need to explore that together. So the WISH partnership has really helped.
What does WISH stand for?
WISH is World Initiative for Soya and Human Health. It's an arm of the American Soybean Association. So they had the first pilot scheme with us this year to train young professionals in aquaculture since there was a knowledge gap. And we did that. We had about 70% of young women amongst those we trained. And because my wife too is involved, we are running it together, so it's attractive. Now, most of them, because they are not interested in taking it further, their career path, but seeing us as young people and as young couples doing it, a lot of them are now interested. So we support, it's like learn and earn.
Okay.
They fund them while they are learning with us, and they provide accommodation for them and the feeding. So it makes them concentrate more. And in addition to that too, a lot of them now have career path in aquaculture. And because the aquaculture value chain is so broad, there's value addition, there's production, there's genetics, a whole lot. Like what we do now is that in terms of technology, these are some of the products from the farm. This is a fish cracker, just like the prawn cracker is a product from catfish and cassava starch. That's the fish egg, and this is the fish fillet. And we've been able to develop over 15 products from one fish as I speak with you now.
15 products?
Yes, and since my kids are young, so I have so many other foster kids. Those are the young people in Africa. So immediately as we're getting the knowledge, we're transferring it so that there can be a sustainable plan and the vision can outlive me.
So we've got an internship program here, and there's so many youths on that. Can you shout out if you're part of the internship? Internship scholars, I'm sure they're in the crowd. I want to hear about the numbers in Nigeria on this program. How many are they, and what's the projection?
All right. For now, we've been able to train over 5,000 youths from inception.
How many?
Over 5,000 youths from inception. Because
Over
I started
how long?
training youths as an undergraduate. So when I was in 400 level, I had about 5 of my classmates too that did their internship with me. And I've never written an application for a job all my life. And so since then, we've been having several students coming to us from different institutions in the country for internship. And also we have a partnership with IITA too. They are funded by the MasterCard Foundation. So the iYouth project in Nigeria runs in my facility, and we have an agri park. So with us, there is no how you won't want to build a future in aquaculture space in Nigeria. So that's what we're doing, and the numbers are increasing. And when we had the youth, the WISH internship project, it became so overwhelming. Everybody from every institution wants to come to Sedge Farms, and that we'll have to keep doing.
Thank you so much, Sejiro, for taking us to Nigeria. Now that you have mentioned IITA, too many acronyms.
Okay, IITA is International Institute for Tropical Agriculture. So there is
That's one of my babies.
Yes, there is an iYouth project, which is Innovative Youth in Agriculture.
Yeah.
So that also runs within our facility.
So IITA is a center, international agriculture center in Africa, which is fed by 13 other centers that belong to the CGIAR. Now we've come back as one family, which we call one CGIAR, because we realize the world's problems are bigger than one center. So under the mission for one CGIAR, we believe that we can transform our food, land, and water systems so that we can, in the face of climate change, deliver technologies that will make us not just food secure, nutrition secure, but feed our planet. I'm going to just unpack in a few minutes what that means. We are moving to 2025. All our 13 centers are driving one strategy. Under that strategy, we have a portfolio of 8 mega programs. And what we have committed to deliver with those 8 mega research programs is that we want to be accountable for 5 impact areas. If you go on our website, you'll see the 5. Number 1 is nutrition, health, and food security. 5 years coincides with 2030. SDG goals must be met, and agriculture and sustainable food systems talks to all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Number 2, we commit to reducing poverty, enabled livelihoods, and making sure we create jobs. You heard our heads of states this morning talking about, if I want to be remembered, Madam Head of State Tanzania said, it will be nutrition, malnutrition goes to the museum, and we create more jobs. Number 3, we want to be accountable stewards for the environment. Number 4, on gender equality and youth and social inclusion, we have a scorecard. Number 4, we want to make sure climate adaptation and mitigation cuts across all our programs. Now, with all those impact areas, what are the accelerators? What is this that will allow us to scale fast? We are going to make sure, number 1, gender equality and inclusion is a key driver, an accelerator. Number 2, digital transformation. We are in that age, we cannot ignore that. And finally, capacity sharing and partnerships. And kudos to the Soy Association. You're doing it and walking the talk. And as CGIAR, we are proud that you're touching all the corners that relate to our strategy. For us, tune in to the CGIAR 853. 8 programs, 5 impact areas, and 3 accelerators. By 2030, we promise to deliver. Let me come back to my panel. Soy. Tim, we've talked about the intergenerational change. We've talked about what you are doing. What do you see in the horizon? My promise on behalf of the One CGIAR family is the 5 impact areas. What do you see in the horizon?
Well, sustainable agriculture is definitely expanding, and farmers are getting a better handle on what they need to do and how to do it to mitigate their the stress of doing something that nobody did. Like when some of the stuff we started, we didn't have anybody to look to. So I think that is something that's going to continue with what USB, some of the things they are funding. One is crops that can withstand being underwater for a couple days. Here, where you are in Des Moines, if you go north, northwest, clear past the Minnesota border, in a heavy rain, there's going to be all kinds of ponds. There are drowned out areas. Well, that low ground is some of the most productive farm ground in the world. And if you can get genetics to withstand some of that water for a day or 2 longer than they would normally, all of a sudden those productive acres are being able to be used every year, which in turn puts that much more product to the world. And the young people like Skylar, and to be honest with you, my brother and I in agriculture are considered young also. True. Unfortunately, for agriculture. But there's so much technology, whether it's the genetics, equipment, guidance systems, being able to apply either seed or herbicide fertilizer to virtually a square foot in a field. And that kind of thing is somewhat overwhelming as you get older, but very exciting for the younger generation. And there is more. It's not just sitting in a tractor or walking through the hog barn or whatever. It's technology, and these young minds, they're interested, and we got to make sure that there's a place in U.S. agriculture for the youth to come.
Excellent. So if I may ask, I won't ask for your age, but how long have you been farming on the family farm?
I started really my whole life to a degree, but full-time in 1990 after I graduated from Iowa State University.
Wow, and you're still considered a baby?
I'm a young farmer, unfortunately, yeah. Now my son, he's the baby farmer, so.
I can connect to that story. My dad is 94 years old. He has his own farm and he believes he's still farming. He pays his staff from his own pocket. He manages everything, of course wrong. But he says to me, you have a lot to learn, young girl. This is the wrong thing every time I do something. Then he goes to his friends and says, what a great job she's doing. So let's hang in there. Let's hang in there. Thanks, Tim. Alejandro, what do you see in the horizon? 2030.
2030.
That's close.
I wanted to build out on something Tim said, and it's about all the efforts that U.S. farmers are making with sustainable production, and how that sustainable production can feed into the market again. So now, through USIC and our suppliers, we are getting certificates for our purchasing of either soybeans or soybean meal that are sustainable. And with those certificates, we have our plants certified for sustainable feed production, manufacturing, mainly for aquaculture. And with that plant certified, we sell to our clients that are producers in tilapia, and that tilapia is exported here to the US. And now it's Colombia, it's the main supplier of fresh tilapia to the US, and those are those type of alliances and things that you guys start on the field, having that sustainable. We have a sustainable production, also using new technologies such as the IPRS, where we produce more, where our clients produce more tilapia meat with the less usage of water, and we have really good conversion rates on the tilapia production. So to answer your question, we see all of these food systems continue to transform in a more sustainable way, where we can achieve food security for our nations while having more availability of the protein and also more affordability of the protein.
Excellent. Sejiro, your children are threatening to sell the farm, and let's hope they don't sell you.
They won't.
Now that you remain on the farm, what do you see? 2030, 2050? What do you see in the horizon?
All right. I just want to encourage everybody to emulate what Wish is doing and IIT is doing to encourage the younger generation globally and see how we strengthen trade ties across the globe. The US soya should be able to come to Nigeria without stress, and our own catfish too should be able to come to the US without stress, because that is going to drive markets. And the marketing end of every agriculture value chain is the most important, because it's going to drive production down the line. If you have all of the technology and you don't have good markets, you'll be out of business. So we need to see how we strengthen that. And to wrap it up too, we need to be intentional, deliberate about what we're doing, because if everything fails, food business is not going to fail. The most important security in the world should be food security. So once food security is taken care of, it's going to take care of every other insecurities. And we should deliberately and collectively raise an army that will fight hunger, not armies that will fight humans.
Yep. Excellent. So from Nigeria, the message is Nigeria is open for business.
So much.
It's ready to feed the US and the world.
And the world.
What you need are the good trade relations and the gates to open.
Exactly.
But most important, we need an army. Not an army with weapons that kill, but with weapons that are technology-driven to feed more stomachs, so that everybody has peace, because as you say, the most important security cause is food. Let's rally around that. I've taken you from the United States. Whilst you enjoy your soy, we have seen that Colombia is contributing to the food on your plate. They are a partner in this business. We've seen how Nigeria is also part of the dish you are enjoying now. There's no time for questions from you. I'll give my panelists just 30 seconds each. What are we doing wrong that you would like to see addressed? If you had a billboard for this panel, what would you, in no more than 3 words, what would you put there? Think about it.
I believe we need to create more connections.
More connections.
More connections, and we need to continue building on trade, where we can have relationships that are long-term, mutually beneficial, and where all of us can continue to grow as a community.
So, colleagues, SDG 17, it's no surprise it's the last one, partnerships. And Alejandro says, let's have more connections, let's build the partnerships. This is what you have done for the world, and this is testimony of your connections with Colombia and Nigeria. Who wants to go next? The clock is ticking.
All right. I want to close this with just a short chorus from Michael Jackson's song.
Oh my goodness, here's the stage. Michael Jackson is coming back.
So I think everybody knows this song, so we'll just take it for 30 seconds. Heal the world, make it a better place.
Wow.
For you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
This was not planned.
Yeah.
And I don't like surprising my panel. Tim looked at me and said, you didn't tell us this. So Tim, your son is looking at you. Do you want to pray again for him? Over to you for the billboard. He's watching you, Dad. Don't let him down.
I think in the U.S. is the farmers. Right now, it's a rough financial time, and if you're not active in an organization like USB or one of the state soybean organizations or corn or any of them, you don't have the perspective of what I've had the opportunity to go into different countries and visiting farmers and importers to know that what we're doing on our farm isn't just feeding our families and making a living. It's feeding the world and helping people help themselves. And I think that's very important. And I wish there was a better understanding of that here in the U.S.
Excellent. What a prayer. Let's do the right thing. Let's fight the right war. And let's use technology and science to spread the word to our partnerships that we can feed this world. And we have the technologies. What we now need is scale and the right policy environment to achieve that scale. I want to just end by thanking Marshall for helping us go back to our roots. I know she wouldn't have done it without the support of Ambassador Branstad, but in a special way, I also want to thank Ambassador Ken, who is my mentor. Ambassador Ken Quinn, thank you so much for inspiring me personally over the years. It's been great to bring my grandmother to this room. Thank you. Please give a word of praise for my panel. Thank you.